All right, Wolfpack. Great to see everybody this Friday afternoon. It's Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we're going to be doing some of the same stuff that we've been doing consistently on Friday afternoons for quite a few weeks now. And we're going to be doing talking about a little bit of a different twist, simply because, the times are changing. There are things, happening, some ideas are being presented. So I wanted to just let the community know what's going on. And we will be having a special guest. I see Crypto Jam is in the audience right now. So, hey, Crypto, I just sent you on X the link to actually show up in the studio. So if you want to click that link and you'll actually show up in the studio. We'll let you up on the stage when you get here. So, all right. So one of the elements of our Friday afternoon live stream is that we do a live burn of what came in through the tax. And so as you all may or may not know, this particular token, SWP, has a 2% tax on all buys, sells, or transfers. That is pretty different, pretty cool. And so if you're interested in checking it out, you don't know much about us, come check us out. Our website is swp.meme, swp.meme. And so check us out. And so without any further ado, I wanted to add a special guest to the stage here. We've got a community member who has been asked if he wanted to come up and just say hi to everybody. Let me see if I can get him popped up on the stage. Crypto Jam, you see if you got a mic, feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Tom, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. Thank you so much for coming on our live stream. I know everybody gets to hear my voice an awful lot, so it's really nice to hear different voices and different points of view. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would.
Oh yeah, for sure, Tom. And it's funny, before we get started, when you reached out to me about doing an interview, I thought it was going to be like me and you between two ferns kind of deal. Not everybody on this call, so it's all right. It's all good. This is the first time I actually have ever spoken or talked, obviously, on a social media platform. So please bear with me. But yeah, no. But again, thank you very much for reaching out. I've been involved in crypto since September of 2022, kind of when I joined X or Twitter back then, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, and I got introduced with crypto back when I was helping coaching my son's football team. Mm-hmm. We didn't win a game that year, but we had a lot of fun, all the coaches on the sideline. And one of the coaches was, we were at one of the practices, and he's like, hey, my first name's Jared, by the way. So he's like, hey, Jared, have you ever heard of crypto? I'm like, no, what is that? So kind of started, kind of piquing my curiosity and my interest of making money, so forth. And that's kind of where I came into the entire crypto community, was through a buddy of mine. And it's been a one hell of a ride. It's been up, it's been down. It's crypto, exactly. Yeah. what we know of it. So
a long 3 years in that case, right? A long 3 years for sure.
It has been, yes, it has been a long 3 years. And but anyways, backing up a little bit more. So I'm happily married. My wife probably puts up with a lot of more of my BS than normal, because obviously she's paying attention to the crypto a little bit as well. And I try not to, obviously tune her into every single hour, every single day of what's going on in crypto, because you never know. We have two boys, 14 and 17 years old. They're both very, they're into sports. Lacrosse is our big sport there in the family. So we reside in upstate New York. If you guys have ever heard of Kodak or Bausch and Lomb, we're in Rochester. So that's where, so right now it's beautiful out up here. And so that's kind of it. And then I work for a telecommunications company that's all over the nation. I manage manage fiber optic networks, not really residential, but more commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in that business ever since I was 17, 18 years old. I'll be 48 in October, so that kind of dates me a little bit there. So, other than that, yeah, just going through just life, and kind of seeing how we can invest. My wife and I, we talk about investments and stuff
Mm.
like that, and crypto's kind of been as you know, has been a new kind of investment for us, and it's it keeps us on our toes, as you know. So it's but all in all, loving the ride so far, and this community that SWP has entangled in my life and my family's life has just been great, just because of the transparency that you guys, all of us, have, and the energy, and visually seeing each other, where I've been in projects where I've lost thousands, and
Yeah.
so it's been crazy. So enough of that for now. If there's anything else, Tom, you want to touch
Yeah.
on? Yeah.
So just so you know, I was born in Norwich, New York. Do you know where that is? Shenango County.
Oh yeah, I know where Norwich is very well. We have a small fiber network there, actually, with the school
Okay.
district. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I know there used to be a big pharmacy in Norwich. So all of my family, we were all born in Norwich and moved down to where I live now, which is in Central Florida.
Okay.
And so if anybody's kind of wondering where I live now, I was driving home on what was it, on Tuesday night, and just looked up, and I literally see a massive rocket going up just driving on the road on the way home. So we see the rockets from where we're at, which is pretty cool. So
Wow.
if you know where, you can look on the map and see where the rockets are launched from. That's within, we feel them, like literally we feel them. It shakes our houses, and we can see them if we're outdoors and there's not clouds. We literally see the rockets going up. Just so for us, it's almost like, if you're seeing an airplane, and us seeing a rocket, it's kind of the same thing. So it's just pretty common. So that's where we
Wow.
are now, but it's on the Atlantic Ocean. It's up along the coast. So
Oh, that's great. So you get used to that, I take it, right?
you get used to it, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping a little bit so that our local economy is benefiting, because Elon has been popping up rockets now, like almost like one a day. They're that whole thing about them sending up satellites. I don't know exactly what they all are. Some Starlink, there's a bunch of Starlink, some military ones sending people to the space station, the International Space Station. And then, of course, preparing to send people to Mars, I guess, is part of this, testing out a bunch of different rockets. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then you also have Blue Origin over there. So you have the Amazon stuff going on over there with there's more than one company launching rockets. So, but let me go back to what you were just saying about, so you're down to 2022. So you were on the tail end. The market was already declining when you entered the crypto world then, if I understand correctly.
Yes, you are correct. So there are a couple, and I started with Coinbase, and I still have Coinbase as one of my exchanges that I use.
Yep.
So there's a lot of my crypto that I have that I'm still in the negatives, because I'm waiting for the next bull run, because I caught them on the tail end, and that was just me, being brand new to crypto, not knowing
Yep.
what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So yes, so I came in on the tail end. So I haven't had an experience like you guys may have in the first couple of bull runs.
Yeah, I've only had one myself, which
Okay.
was from May of 2021 until November of 2021. That was kind of that stretch.
Okay.
And I had, a lot of decline. There was a little bit of it's actually pretty decent still pump back in January of 2022. But then, 2022, it was just a downward spiral. I mean, just really the amazing thing would be if you just could foretell the future, how rich we would be, right? If you could kind of predict what was going to happen with FTX and just all of this stuff. So much.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So what were the coins that you were investing in back when you got started?
So obviously Bitcoin,
Mhm.
And, what my buddy was talking to me about was using, now I know more about it, obviously, but back then it was BNB would be my way to buy other tokens through, because remember, New York State is not full. There's definitely regulation issues here. So
Yeah.
in order for us or New Yorkers and anybody else that's on the call can probably relate to this, I had to transfer money to Edge Wallet and then Edge to MetaMask in order to buy certain tokens.
Yep.
And that was just because of the New York State or whatever.
Yep.
So I was big in BNB just because I was using it going back and forth between tokens. But XRP I bought, 36 cents. That's one of my big assets now. Just because I love the utility and I love what they have to offer for banks that
Yeah.
are coming up.
Yeah.
Other ones, Ethereum, of course, but then I started getting into HBAR.
Yeah.
And some other ones but back then too, I didn't know anything about real world assets or utility tokens compared to Mimi. So I was
Yeah.
loading up on Shiba Inu, Doge,
Yep.
PP stuff. But
Yeah.
of course, though, I missed those windows because I think it started off earlier. And so again, Shiba Inu was something I had in Coinbase that didn't really. I caught it on the tail end, so it needed to get to above. I don't know. It had to eliminate a zero in order for me to make money on it. So
Yeah.
and eventually I got sick of waiting, so I transferred all my Shiba into a utility token, and now I'm in the positives. So
Oh,
there's
you
some
are.
yeah,
Good.
some give and take there. So, but
That's really interesting. Yeah. So,
yeah,
and I think obviously, I think as a general, you get to know friends and family and people, everybody gets into crypto. Everybody kind of gets different beliefs, different ideas, goes into it. And, you wish the best for everybody. I hope that, I wish that it was true that we're all going to make it. Like, I wish that was true, but obviously it's not. Like, there's so many tokens now, and it's going to be maybe like, small percentage are going to really, really, really make it in terms of massive profitability. And unfortunately, with this since really, like when you're talking about you entered and I entered 21, 22, it went from like 10,000 tokens to 3 million tokens. So choices. And so it's clear that the consumer coming in, like where we're going to jump and do something, there was a lot of choices at 10,000. How many now in the millions? It's just like, it's mind boggling how we can know, like, where are we going to do something and make a move, And so, well, it's exciting because it's pretty clear that we're really in the albeit the early phases, that we're in the bull run, because I mean, we've already passed, we're back down to $3.95 trillion market cap for the entire crypto industry.
sure.
But we were past 4 trillion, like well over 4 trillion market cap for the crypto industry. So it's like we're in it. Like there's no question at this point that we're in it. Now it's a time to just, kind of get our heads around the, what are we going to do and what are we not going to do? And I really would love to help people not to make mistakes. And of course, if somebody wants to play very conservative, they can play very conservative. If they want to take some risk, they take some risk. But at the end of the day, there's so many things that you hear about where people got clobbered, and it was like, it could have been avoided in some cases,
Sure.
It's just like, you wish that people would. So any advice you want to give everybody that you've learned in the last 3 years?
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah, a little bit. That I'm still learning, and but the main thing, and I kind of coined my own phrase to this: the fear of swapping. And the reason why I say that is because I'll get excited or antsy, and I'll swap a token that I know is not doing well, and then buy something else, and all of a sudden it'll dip down. So there's like swapping tokens in my wallets and stuff doesn't. I've had some good ones, but I've also had some bad ones. So, it's just, I guess, I pay attention to some key speakers
Yeah.
on X. You know, I
Yeah.
obviously you Tom being one of them. Other ones, I don't know if are we allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. No, I
there's
don't mind. I don't mind.
okay,
Sure.
like you know, like there's Credible Crypto. I like what he Credible. I think is his handle.
Yeah.
And Coach JV is another one on the XRP side of it. He's really knowledgeable. And then there's also Wake Up, Good Morning Crypto, is another one. And so I'm starting to pay more attention to these utility tokens and what they have to offer. Not saying I'm getting away from the memes, because I
Yeah.
think that's still got a lot of potential, and I think they'll you know, it's obviously they go on popularity as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I usually just, you know, I try to do my research from X to like cryptonews.com. I try to get some different, I try to use my own way of process of elimination on, is this true or is this not, you know, kind of deal. But then I you know, now I've been kind of digging into dollar cost average DCAs. Like, okay, I'm at like ICP. I bought ICP when it was like $8,
Yeah.
internet computer. Well, now you've seen it. It's down to like $5 now. So I just bought a little bit more just to get that $8 down more, so that I make more as soon as it comes back. So I'm starting to dabble in the DCAs, dollar cost averaging, a little bit.
Yeah.
And no, that's kind of it. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, is X has so many, it's good and then it's bad at the same time, because you have so many people that are trying to rob you and
Yeah.
cheat you. And like a couple, I think it was, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I won Jack the Rippler. I don't know if you saw that post, but they I guess I won $250 from a drawing. I've never done that. I've never ever seen that before, but somebody impersonated me to try to get that 250. I'm like, oh my God, real, just like that. So there's a lot of hackers and
Yeah.
scammers out there. So you just got to be careful. So that's another thing I'd take away is,
Tens of thousands of them. Yeah.
oh yeah, and they're making crypto a bad name, and
Yep.
and hopefully the regulations with the government and everything will help streamline it and weed out those hackers and scammers, so we can get on with our lives. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I agree with you. I think that it's quite interesting to see that that, like what you described, it's all over the place. People scamming each other left and right, and the obvious reason is that they're anonymous. So it's hard to identify who they actually are, and then even if you found out who they actually were, if the victim was, say, for example, in the United States, but the perpetrator was in a country far, far away, it's just hard to. What are you going to do about it? Like,
yeah,
are you going to send police from my local town to a small town in Africa, and they're going to get the guy, or wherever the
yeah,
person may have been? You know, it's just like, no, they're not going to do that. Even if even if you knew who it was, you know, collections and punishment is very, very difficult for someone in another country. And so it's just like these scammers can do pretty much whatever they want if they're in another country. And even then it's still hard to identify them. But even if you did, you're still pretty much out of luck.
sure,
So
yep,
yeah. Yeah, no, I think that it's my thinking is, you know, to try to, well, I think the hard part was that it was hard to make any real money at all during this bad market. The money's, and again, I'm sure that a really, really smart person, you know, could have made money from, you know, 2022 through today. But in a bull run, it doesn't take such a high IQ to make money, right? If you just do
yeah,
the right things, because it's almost like the tides are rising for everyone, and the tides are rising and rising and rising. So it's like, okay, listen, just don't do anything really stupid, and you should be able to do pretty well. And I've, you know, I was said it at one of my recent, you know, things I was talking. It's just like, like, what if you got a 10x? Just get a 10x, and then, you know, take your profits, catch your senses, and then what if you got another 10x? Well, two 10x's is 100x, and it's definitely easier to get two 10x's. So, like, for example, currently, you know, our market cap is under 150,000. It's 1.3 $130,000 market cap. For that to go to 1.3 million is really not a lot of action required. but that's still a 10x mathematically. Like we could get a 10x by next week if we just had some activity and a surge of interest and a group of buyers. And so a 10x, and then you play off that and get another 10x. Well, that's 100x. That's so much easier than saying, hey, let's all go in on this token and we're going to get 100x, because you get the JEETs. The JEETs are going to get you at some point before you hit the 100x mark. And it's those things that you start to learn, that, understanding like what people, because there's so much of this is mathematics, and then you've got the human behavior side of things. So it's like, okay, human behavior is that everybody's playing musical chairs. And it's just like, you get a group of people, it's like, hey guys, let's all do this. But they're all ready to jump first. And, my illustration is like, like if you're with your brother, it's like, hey, let's all jump in the ice cold pool. And, little Tommy goes and jumps thinking we're all jumping and realizes they weren't going to jump. You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah.
It's just that whole like, wait a minute. Like, where you got people who are saying buy, and they're waiting and they're just going to cash in on your liquidity. And, it takes time to figure out the human behavior that, all these people aren't honest. All these people aren't good people.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a question of trying to get your head around like, what is the best strategy? And so I wanted to shift gears a little bit if I can. And so Crypto, feel free to chime in whenever on this subject, because I wanted to touch on it since it was, I did post a video, and I'm going to clarify a little bit if anybody's watching this live stream or the recording, that, the whole conversation of offering the vacant land for tokens is not under the role of any connection to the project itself, not as a dev of the token, not as a member of the community. Literally, it's simply as an investor, as a private individual investor, trading a real world asset for a meme token. And this is the reason I want to make that crystal clear, is that, just for legal reasons. So it's not, I mean, I'm sure that if some authority or some person wants to say, no, it must be as this, they can say what they want. But I want to make it very clear that in my offering of a piece of vacant land, in this case, it's 1 acre in Brevard County, Florida, as a swap, is a personal private swap, and is also, just want to make it very, very clear that I'm not an attorney representing anybody. I'm not representing anyone as a real estate agent, real estate broker, and I'm also not a financial advisor advising anyone who is interested in any swap of this nature, whether it be buying a piece of land. Obviously, do your own research. You don't buy a piece of land without knowing what you're buying. People can do it, but there's a presumption in real estate, which is buyer beware, right? The buyer is expected to do their own due diligence and know what they're buying. If it's a piece of land, you're expected to be able to research, and you have the right to do that. And then the question is, well, if you say, hey, I'm going to buy it for X number of dollars, that you know what you're doing. That's the presumption. And of course, if somebody says, I will buy it for token or buy it for a payment plan using the token, they have to understand the mathematics of it. And I wanted to go through that a little bit because, albeit if somebody's watching this, they're probably a member of the wolf pack. They also see that the market cap is down, and they're probably also looking like, hey, what's going to happen? The interesting part of this, especially being the lower market cap, is it actually is a golden opportunity for somebody, if there is a person out there who doesn't yet have anywhere near 4 million tokens, or maybe has 0 SWP tokens and wants to actually buy that land. So the crazy mathematics of it is that, if the token price goes down, they can get that land cheaper in fiat, right? And the power of the buy, if somebody goes in right now and bought 4 million tokens, would drive the market cap through the roof. So mathematically, for someone who knows crypto, there's a lot of variables, and these variables are moving. So the interesting thing about this is that in this calculation, the only thing that maintains a pretty steady value is actually the land. Because, and I wanted to share with you guys, so I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see. Okay, so This is the map of the piece of land in question, and it is just so you get an idea, that's 528 Highway 528. 528 actually goes all the way from the Orlando airport and it goes right out to Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral is one of the busiest cruise ship ports and even commercial ports in the United States. It's a very busy port. Tons of cruise ships going out from Port Canaveral. It goes out to the Bahamas and the Caribbean. And this road, again, it's kind of a highway. And of course, I-95 is the road that goes all the way from the Keys all the way up to New York City. It goes all the way up and down the east coast of the United States. I-95 is literally just on the right side of that picture. So if you look at the map straight ahead, you see actually these little images of that have numbers. This is from the county website, and where the county has records of properties and deeds. And so anybody could go onto that website. It's Brevard Property Appraiser. And you can just Google Brevard Property Appraiser and click on the different properties. And if you go in there, you see actually some of these properties, there are some of them that sold for significantly higher than is being asked here. You see one of them sold for $24,000, one of them sold for $20,000. You've got one that sold for $6,000, $8,000, $16,000, $9,000. So there's some properties that sold for more that are out of this same nature. Now you notice over to the right, you actually have built like houses. So you have the 615,000, 280,000, 625,000. Those are houses. And so so people who maybe are not familiar with what we're talking about here, the reason that these properties as a general rule might cost between, 6,000 and 20,000 is because there is no roads yet to the property. And the plat that you see here is platted from back in whenever it was platted in the 60s or 70s. And the properties were sold off at that time, way back then. And there were only certain roads that actually were installed at that time. And in this case now, it's not the county that actually funds the putting of the road in. It's the private individuals that have to fund it up to the county's code or the county's standard. And so you see the one here with the red box around it, the one that's being offered, you see there is actually like a road right of way on the south end of it. So that connects to this other road right of way, very similar to the right of ways that you see connecting these parcels over here with houses on them. So it's not something that's unthinkable that that road could go in, but just be aware it's up to the private individuals to put the road in, and who knows like what that would actually cost. And then of course the other element of it is that in some of these areas out here there are wetlands, and so wetlands becomes an environmental issue. And so if a road has to cross wetlands or there's wetlands on the property, it does affect the value where you can build. Sometimes you have to mitigate. So those are some of the elements. You've got the access of the road or distance to the road, and then you've got the land itself. It's just something that any parcel that you purchase, you'd have to do a due diligence on it. But the cool thing about it is let me share my screen, and I want to share with everybody just where this is. So let me go back here. All right, let me go back and I'm going to share. Oh, here. Share screen. Okay, hopefully you guys can see the map. You guys see the map all right? Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to zoom out. Okay, so here you see basically over here, the whole state of Florida. You've got Orlando right in the middle. Orlando's right in the middle now. This stick that sticks out here on the other side, that's Cape Canaveral. That's where the rockets go up. And then south of it here, Patrick Space Force Base. It changed from the Patrick Air Force Base to the Space Force Base. And so what we're looking at here is you see the road 528. Some of these properties are right near between I-95 and 528. Now, the cool thing about this whole idea, so it's in this chunk of land right here in the little connection there between, and some of those areas are they're unbuilt. They don't have roads yet. And then as you see, if you go all the way over on the west side, you have St. John's River. It goes all the way down the county here. So look, there's a bunch of parcels in this area that could be purchased and just resold. Now the whole concept, so I just wanted to give everybody an idea where that parcel is. And the whole idea is that that very first parcel is just to get to wet the wheels, right? To get the process going so that we have that buy, right? That's the idea, just to get that buy, get that purchase going. Now, that first purchase would be very interesting, and it would be, hopefully a win-win for everybody involved. If it was me personally, I'm selling this parcel, I get those tokens, that's great. So instead of me just personally going and buying the tokens, I get those tokens in exchange for the vacant land, right? But just imagine that taking place a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. And so the vision that I have for this concept is that could be literally the catalyst, would blow the doors off of a meme token. If you understand a little bit and you've seen how monies of different levels can affect the market cap on a meme token, and understand that if you plugged in something with the whole concept of doing this with vacant land like this is just to get something to get started, and something that is, truly, it's not like swapping out an NFT or something that potentially you could look up and say, well, it's not worth anything, right? The thing that the person gets who buys those 4 million tokens and trades them for a vacant land is actually a very, very stable asset, because they're actually trading those tokens for vacant land. They're not, quote unquote, stuck with anything that potentially has gone down in value. It's actually the person selling the land who potentially could look up and see that the thing they swapped for has gone significantly up or significantly down in value. Not the person buying the land. The person buying the land is actually owns a piece of actual real world property. That's something that has held a very steady value for a very, very long time, because again, they're not paying like any outrageous marked up price. It's a pretty retail price for something like this. So that's the neat part about it. So, and you can do the math yourself, like what would it cost to, if it was at the current exact market cap price, what would it cost to buy 4 million tokens? It's not an outrageous price for that acre of land. So, but the goal is to essentially create a land vending machine. So just imagine a land vending machine is the equivalent of a real estate vending machine, right? Land is real estate. And if you had a land vending machine, and we could build this out with the technology to be able to sell at one click. And there's a couple of ways that this can be done. And one of the first ways that we could do it would be if the person was willing to purchase it in an LLC. We could actually put the real estate in an LLC and then put it for sale as represented. Ownership of that LLC is represented by an NFT. And in that case, somebody could go into the land vending machine and simply purchase the NFT using a certain token. In our case, it would be SWP token. They purchase the LLC ownership because that's signified by ownership of the NFT. Now they own all 100% shares of the LLC, which means in turn they own that vacant land. And that process could literally be one click. Now, what is it that's so special about this? The reality is, yes, it would potentially do some wild things for our market cap. But at the same time, what we're looking at is, I believe we could get a lot of media coverage, because while this may not be world unique in terms of doing a trade for crypto, the element of having a land vending machine is currently unique. I do not know of anybody who has a land vending machine using a meme token at this time, something like this. The interesting next step could be that we use the land vending machine where it goes from the private individual to private individual would be a little bit different. The only difference then is we would have to involve the title company, and at the moment, the final stages of the sale would have to be basically through the traditional title company, and they would actually record the deed with the county. Again, they would probably be dealing with some fiat to pay for the doc stamps and the fees required, but that would mean a private individual could go and buy, and it would actually go through the title company with title insurance, but still going through this vending machine. And ultimately, at some point, maybe many years from now, there might be a beta testing program. There could be a county that uses blockchain to actually record the deed so that they could use this, they could do this whole process instantaneously. And then the whole thing could truly be a land vending machine where someone clicks and owns the land. But in the meantime, if the title company says, we're closed on the transaction, we're funded, we'll record the deed the very next business day in the county using the traditional recording means. What that would mean is that you own the property. So, albeit it's not a 30-second closing, like the goal is to have a 30-second closing, but at the same time, a piece of vacant land, if you did go through that process and the escrow agent says you own the property, even though the deed won't be recorded until the next business day, if you wanted to go out and camp on that property, you can comfortably go and camp on that property. And that's really, at this moment, the properties that you were looking at that I just showed you there, that's really all that they can be used for, since you're not able to build a house at this moment. Those are properties that are usable for potentially hunting, potentially camping, long-term investment, maybe getting out there with an RV or four-wheeler, horseback riding, hiking. You should be able to get out to your property, but you are not able to get a building permit to build a house or put like an official mobile home just because of access, etc. So I want to show you a little bit more the map here. Let me see if I can share my screen again. Okay, so this is the property that we're talking about here. I'll just spin it around a little bit so you guys can kind of see. I'll zoom out a little bit here. Let's see if it. Oh, there we go. Zooming in on the trees. So you can sort of see the land, the trees. You see sort of a four-wheeler path over there on the left-hand side. Again, you see some swamplands, like clear swamplands up just above it. Looks like people have been like riding the buggies through it. There's people that get out here in some of these areas and do some camping. And then here you see this is the Port St. John. This is the Port St. John area up above it. You see the exit going off of I-95, and it kind of dead ends and goes up to the subdivision. And you see all of this undeveloped area out here. And you see that little blue marker, that's the actual property. So it just gives you an idea that, and so if the land vending machine starts off with selling properties in this undeveloped area, the idea would be that eventually when the market cap and the flow can handle it, we could, let's say, buy a buildable quarter acre over here and a home site, if there was any home sites that are, a lot that could be built on in the subdivision area, we could build on we could sell a buildable lot for maybe 40,000, right? So, the idea is that we would be able to, let me see, click here. So we would be able to continue to up the cost of whatever we're doing, as long as we can keep that cash flowing, and the funneling of the funds going through SWP would just create that massive, in certain cases, very much spikes, as well as create the tax for the burn. So, at any rate, I wanted to share just a couple other thoughts here as we continue. This is from one of the latest reports. It was from an event that was this week, early this week, a real estate conference, a broker specific real estate conference. It was the Keller Williams Mega Camp. And the cool thing about this is it really gives me a perspective as to when people ask what's going on with the real estate market. And I wanted to share this with everybody because I think that people sometimes wonder what is going on with the real estate market. And one of the reasons I bring this up is that looking at this, the last 30 years, 35 years, any time that you had bought real estate in the last 30 years, any time that you bought real estate in the last 30 years was a good buy. And I think that that's just really important. And the reason I'm bringing this up specifically is because we're talking about offering, or I personally am talking about offering some real estate for in exchange for tokens, is that the person buying is probably very likely to be doing well. And of course, buying houses that if somebody bought real estate in the last 30 years and ended up selling at a loss or saying they got hurt somehow, looking at the trend of what real estate did in the last 30 years, it wasn't the real estate's fault. If you lost money on real estate, it wasn't the real estate's fault. It was your fault because the market has continued. And you see this aqua line, that's a 4% appreciation. You see back in the first boom here in 05, 06, it went 21% above the trend line back then. But then you see the massive dip. That's the Great Recession, what we call the Great Recession. And then, it continued last year at 9% above the trend line. And so, last year was actually a really, really strong year for real estate, even though it felt sluggish. The reason being is that, we ended up with people not really being able to afford the properties because of the interest rates. And our current pricing, the average home price in the United States, this is the median home price in the United States, is $418,000. Obviously, that's significantly more than the $96,000 average or median home price in 1990. 1990, the median home price was $96,000. So we are basically 4 times the value of 35 years ago. 4 times the value. So basically, bottom line from this, I would say, is if you're asking yourself what the real estate market's doing, is it's still a little hot. It's still a little bit above trend, and it's actually starting to slowly adjust down a little bit to be right back on the trend line. And so wanted to share that with you because if you're wondering about, somebody buying a piece of land, if they have the tokens and they traded it, tokens are volatile. Tokens go up and down. Even Bitcoin goes up and down. But real estate tends to be a very stable thing, which is why I wanted to, have this kind of an experiment and bring it into the world of tokens. I wanted to bring it into the world. And some people have brought up in comments, referring back to a previous token that many of us knew about that was supposed to have a relationship between real estate. And, this basic concept is there's so many differences. I could go on for a long time, but just first and foremost, there's no real estate token involved here, right? This is just private individuals saying, I will swap real estate for a token. The real estate token that people, know about being Sita Realty, there was a whole dev team making promises about what they were going to do. One of them being building a house or buying a house in Dubai and then distributing the profits from it. And the more you listened to the whole concept of, well, okay, they're going to buy a house in Dubai and flip it and make profits, or what are they going to do with it? Rent it out, or what are they going to do? sell it, make amount of profits, and what are they then going to divvy it up among 7,000 holders? And then they're going to do it again. Like, there was no clear direction, even for myself. And I was, trying to follow along as much as I could of what was the mathematical, logical usage of that token for real estate. And it never panned out as being anything logical. They did build a house, which I assume, somebody's living in now, right? Somebody from the project is living in the house. And that was just, the hype of how real estate would be connected to a token. What I'm trying to talk about with a land vending machine is very, very simplistic. Is literally just somebody saying, hey, this is a piece of land. I'll trade you that for this amount of real estate, amount of tokens. Very simplistic. Now, how that affects, the chart and all that, that is what it is. That's part of the experiment, like part of what you don't quite know, nobody does, about how would it affect the chart. Does that holder already own the tokens? Do they have to buy them on the chart, etc.? And of course, do they choose the payment plan? That's the part that someone may wonder about, is that there is being offered a payment plan, meaning if somebody wanted to do this and said, listen, I will pay 400,000 SWP tokens over a period of 10 months. So 400,000 times 10. What would happen is that's a contract. That's an agreement that could be made. That would be where they would get the deed recorded in their name in the county when they made that final payment of 400,000. So once the full 4 million is paid, the deed would be recorded. Again, perfectly legal. All the taxes, all the legal requirements would be handled. There would be nothing illegal with this arrangement, and then it would be their property. Again, we don't know what the cost or value of price of those tokens will be during that time period, but that is a possible offering. So that's part of the idea here with this piece of land, how it could be sold for the tokens, how people might end up doing this and ending up with a piece of land, and they can do whatever they want with it. They can use it for recreation. They can hold it as a long-term investment. They could turn around and resell it. As far as to mute myself. So anyway, now it's time for the burn. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to do the burn. There wasn't a lot of traffic this week, so it's not a ton of tokens in the deployer wallet, but I still want to do it because we committed to doing this burn every week, and our community knows that we're doing it. So I'm gonna do it right now. Okay, so I am going in and going into Slurf Tools. I'm kicking in to see so I've got 38,571 tokens. Again, very little activity. And I have circulating supply, 96,105,000. So we didn't quite get that 100,000 where we were going to blast into the 95 million somethings, right? We didn't quite get there this week. But at any rate, we're going to burn that 38,000 tokens. Confirm burning. Let's see what happens. Authorizing signature. Burn successfully. There we go. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Soul scan. Confirmed. Finalized. 38,000 tokens burned. And so that should adjust our circulating supply a little bit there. Let's see if it does it automatic. We maybe can do a refresh, see if that does. Yeah. So we're just, if you see that, that puts us just over 96 million, just over 96 million, 96,666,000. So, pretty obvious that next week we will hit the 95 million something. And again, may not be super exciting right now because, the values of even these, 1 million tokens is not that much. And we've only burned 4 million tokens. However, keep that in mind that as time goes on, it's going to start to get wild, especially assuming if we do get buyers for land, and we're able to do some of these transactions, it's going to create so much in terms of tax, and hopefully drive up the value of the token. That's our goal. We want to get the value of the token up. That's why we're doing crypto, right? We want to, get the community excited, get the value up, and but at the same time, there's more to it. Here is we're doing something that is really a first, and that's where I think the media and the press releases and just talking about it, the hype. I believe that once this transaction is fully completed and recorded, and that flow of tokens has gone through the system, it's gonna be awesome. Let me see. I'm gonna add Crypto Jam back up. Crypto Jam, thank you
Yes,
for coming
there we
back
are.
on the stage. So listen, any final words you want to share with everybody?
No, Tom, again, thank you very much for reaching out to me. And basically popping my cherry on my voice, getting on social media here. So
Famous. You're famous. Well, you know
yeah,
what's funny is that it's just something I do think, I started doing videos back when I was involved with Cider Realty. Oh, there we go. We got your face and everything. There we
yep,
go.
there we go. Why not?
Why not? Yeah. So I started doing videos when I was trying to support the token, because I looked up and realized that nobody else was doing it, not even the devs. There was like nobody doing it. And I thought, listen, we need to talk about this. I started doing videos, and one thing led to another. And at that point, when I realized that wasn't happening, I switched to started doing videos about other tokens that I've supported, like in the meantime, in between. And then about a year ago, it was like all about this, this token, all the different versions of it. But I think I've realized that you just get used to it. You get used to doing, Zoom videos, Zoom calls, being on camera, and trying to get the lighting and the sound and all that. And at the end of the day, it's, the goal is that, you create content that people like it, they listen to it, and that it's something that is, and I do believe it's needed, because I just know that as this becomes a real bull run where everybody's talking about it, everyone's going to be online looking for content to learn, and they're going to all pick whoever they want to listen to. And then at that point, if they like you, they want to hear like something like almost every day.
Sure. Oh
So
yeah.
they're like, yeah, I'm bored. I want to hear at least, if my favorite ones, there was nothing new, I'm like, I've heard everything. I'm upset. I want to hear something new from my, the people or the token or the project, almost every day, because it's like, it's a hobby. It really becomes a hobby.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. And one thing as you were talking, I was thinking, I know you did that one video, Crypto 101?
Yeah.
Which was very useful. That was awesome. One thing that I kind of struggled with and I had to figure out on my own, and I'm sure other community members can relate to this, is there's never been a video just in general on how to swap from your hot wallet to your cold wallet, or from an exchange to your hot wallet. I'd like to see more of that kind of tutorials as far as getting into, okay, how do I get my crypto out and back into my bank account? Like even to that point, So
Yeah.
that's other stuff that I'm sure everybody could utilize, and myself included. Because now I have 2 cold wallets, 3 hot wallets. I mean, it's a mess. And when I'm getting ready to, take some money out or whatever, I gotta just remember how I did everything. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Actually, I usually send wires from my bank to Coinbase, and that's kind of how I've gotten money in to the
Yep.
crypto world. And then I actually send it to Coinbase and then wire it back to my bank. That's my on ramping and off ramping.
Sure.
And the last 4 weeks, they're stopping my wires and like sending it to the fraud department. And I've been calling them every time. I'm like, listen, if you guys are doing this because it's crypto, you're going to lose a customer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, you're going to lose a customer. I've got a lot of bank accounts. I got a lot of businesses. You're getting me irritated. Put a note in there. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
4th time
Yeah.
today. And
Wow.
the wire still hasn't gone through. It's like, and she says it's pending, but it's like, it's kind of like it's super irritating. And I don't question for a second that they're just, either they see the writing on the wall that, like, these crypto in general and Coinbase and these, they're going to replace us as a bank. So they just start throwing the fraud thing in there. Or, I mean, possibly, are they legit? Is it possible they legitimately are like, oh, we're going to protect you? But I called up and gone through the entire thing with the fraud department 4 times saying, listen, I'm identifying myself. This is my transfer. If you stop it one more time, you just lost a customer with like 19 bank accounts and a lot of businesses. Like, you're going to really get me mad. I don't think they care, but they're just like,
Yeah.
There's going to be a transfer where people just get out of banks and go to the ones that are like crypto friendly, because it's like their way of resisting by like acting as if the customer doesn't have control over their own funds. Like that's not happening.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Or what's going to happen is Coinbase they'll turn into their own bank,
They'll have a full
or
bank.
something like that. You never know. I mean, that's
Yep.
what they're talking
Yep.
about XRP as well. Becoming its own bank. But yeah, it'll be interesting that banks are going to have to get on board with crypto, or they're going to lose a lot of money, and customers, like you said. But
yeah.
we'll
I mean,
see.
it's a whole revolution. I mean, obviously, everybody has a big debate about whether the central bank digital currencies are a good thing or a bad thing. And it's like, I know that it's, strong emotions and people talk about the control that they might have, etc. But it's interesting. It's like, I definitely know who doesn't want central bank digital currencies is people who are doing something illegal. Like, they definitely don't want it.
Correct.
So somebody who's not committing any kind of tax evasion, anything illegal, like, it's like, yeah, I don't want to lose any more privacy than I've already lost, but I can see how a government would be like, well, the fact that they can see everything is going to help them to avoid, people money laundering, tax evasion, all those things. So I can see a central bank digital currency being very helpful for a government. And if it connected seamlessly with the normal crypto wallet, I can see massive advantages for that. So it's just a question of like, and that could happen like quickly. We could look up and it's like, it's done. It's there. It's like,
yep. All it takes is one bank to sign on saying we trust crypto, we're going for it. And that's going to just be the domino effect. That's my opinion. But yeah, I think that's just take Bank of America, JP Morgan, any of those they need to come out and say it. I think it's going to help all of us
and
out.
then everybody, but I mean, blocking wires, 4 weeks in a row is kind of like it's so, and it's pretty clear that like if they legitimately just said, well, we just thought it was fraud. Like, I'm the person calling and going through 22 minutes of verifying myself every single time is like, it's me. It's not fraud. I'm telling you that I'm doing this, and you're still making it difficult for me. There's more to this. It's like, I don't know. Well, listen, I really appreciate you jumping on Crypto Jam at 7:01. So I've been talking for an hour, but I'm super glad that you jumped on. Thank you also, all you viewers. We've got 22 or 32 viewers live, and hopefully we get hundreds viewing it after the fact. A lot of times we do, from the different time zones. And if anybody wants to chime in, go into the Telegram. Our SWP community has an active Telegram. You can chime in. You can also DM me if you have any questions on any of the channels on my X. My name is Tom Toronto. And hopefully everybody has a great weekend. I'll talk to you all later. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.